Hello there. I want to give you some history on chiropractic osteopathy and a little review of the 1917-1918 Spanish flu pandemic. My name is Dr. Jeffrey Clark. I am the wellness doctor from Marketplace Chiropractic Wellness Center. And then just a little bit of history. So osteopathy was basically founded in around 1885 by Dr. Andrew Still, whereas chiropractic came 10 years later, 1895, developed by Dr. D.D. Palmer. And no doubt Dr. Palmer stole some of his information from Dr. Still, but we do know that spinal manipulation has been around not just since the 1800s, but thousands and thousands of years. We see spinal manipulation in cave drawings. The father of modern medicine, thousands of years ago, talked about look to the spine for the cause of disease, Hippocrates. And bone setting has been a profession through Europe that was passed from father to son, basically adjusting segments of the spine to help ailments. So osteopathy was founded that there's the vigors of the body, the blood, the lymph, were becoming stagnant. And when you manipulated the spine, you helped the flow of the blood, flow of the lymph. Where chiropractors said, well, we think you're getting good results, but we think it's the nervous system. And since that early date, it's been proven true, the nervous system is the master control system. If there's stress or interference to the nervous system, your body cannot heal and regulate the way it was supposed to. But chiropractic and osteopathy, they were just manual medicine, as they call it. I don't like the term manual medicine, but that's basically what they did. They adjusted the spine. And because of their benefits in the Spanish flu pandemic, the AMA around 1923 or so said, we will absorb you with us, allow us to teach in your colleges, we will make you one of us. And the osteopaths said, sure. And they were kind of absorbed into the medical establishment, allopathic medicine. The chiropractors gave them the 6th cervical dermatome, which you might recognize anatomically as the middle finger. So we remained very distinct, whereas osteopaths started to learn more medicine, more pharmaceuticals, more basically allopathic approach to healthcare. And in the early 20th century, they were still doing a lot of manual medicine. Now it's difficult to find osteopaths that even manipulate anymore. If you go to your local clinic and you see Dr. Smith, you're not sure if Dr. Smith is an MD or a DO. 1950s, they became more family medicine. They had their little individual clinics. Now everything's corporate. And then 1970s, they became multi-specialty. So we see surgeons. I think I've had surgery from osteopaths before who certainly wouldn't manipulate. But I want to talk about an article that was written in January 1920, published in the Journal of the American Osteopathic Association. And then it was republished in that same journal in May of 2000. So this is about 20 years old, but it's still pertinent. And basically, there weren't any good chiropractic scientific peer-reviewed journals, but there was this one from osteopaths. So because we did the same thing, the manual medicine, the adjusting, the manipulation, we can correlate the same results. And we know that chiropractors were getting those results. They just weren't in a peer-reviewed journal. At a annual convention of the American Association of Clinical Research in New York City, October 18th, 1919, the author of this paper prefaced with these comments. I want to read this here. The following paper is published by the order of the President of the American Osteopathic Association because of the unique importance on an old school medical convention admitting it to its program, and because of the vital psychological value to the general public of the fact that the statistics of such startling results from osteopathic treatment, we can read that chiropractic treatment, were officially presented before a national medical association. As this is the first time in the history of osteopathy and or chiropractic that such a thing has occurred, it is urged that the members distribute reprints enough to cover the entire country in order to show the people that the medical profession is ignorant of the truth no longer, but has been officially informed of osteopathic and/or chiropractic conquest of diseases in which medicine has failed. So what failures were they having? Well, we know that the 1917-1918 Spanish flu pandemic is the worst in modern history. And now we have the COVID-19 pandemic, and we're not going to compare apples to apples because they're very different. Our ability to treat disease is different. Our ability to diagnose disease is different. But still, our ability to prevent disease, if you handle it properly, is the same. So it goes on from this article. No one has the right to condemn, depreciate, or deny efficacy to reputable measures until he has honestly and adequately subjected them to a fair trial under fair conditions. In the immediate future, much revision of biokinetic therapeutic measures, aka an adjustment, must come about, and to the vast advantage of medical potential. This means that when people are sick, you have to consider maybe they need to be adjusted and not just drugged up. They further state, the resources of medication, large as they are, must have limitations. And this is 1919. Can you imagine what a pharmaceutical company was then compared to big pharma now, where there's a drug for every ailment? In fact, there's 2, 3, 4, 5 drugs for every ailment. Instances are met with vast harm wrought by lack of wisdom in the manner of their use regarding drug therapy. This harm is occasionally fatal. We still know that one of the leading causes of death is medical negligence in prescribing medications that are not adequate for that individual. Fatalities from medication are, however, not confined to misuse. Doesn't mean that people are drug addicts and they're misusing it like we see with some of the oxy addictions that we have now. But to fatuous confidence in them, which fails to be justified. That's saying that there's so much confidence in medication that we should just wait for that vaccine because that's going to cure everything. And that's fallacious now and then. Mechanical adjustment is always toward the normal when scientifically applied. It means you can't just go get a random crack. You need to see a doctor who knows what he's doing, and that's what chiropractors are trained in detection of this vertebral subluxation complex, so we can take that interference and reduce it so that the brain cells are talking to the tissue cells and vice versa. And we've already shared how effects on the sympathetic nervous system also are going to positively benefit the immune system. So what was happening 100 years ago that made manual adjusting so effective? Well, when we look at this, we know that, so osteopaths treated 110,000 cases of Spanish flu influenza. They had 257 recorded deaths. That's 0.25%. And what were we seeing elsewhere? At least 5 to 6% fatalities from Spanish flu across the board. And Boston, the health commissioner of the city of Boston, reported influenza fatalities at 27%, which means if you got the Spanish flu in Boston, there was a 25% chance, 27% chance you were going to die. And we know that that's much higher percentage-wise than we're seeing right now with the COVID-19. We also saw them treating people who didn't have the flu but had pneumonia. An Army camp said that fatalities from epidemic pneumonia was about 34.5%. Other conservative estimates show 33% nationwide, and in some large populous centers, it might have run as high as 68 to 73%. So if you caught pneumonia, you were likely to die. Now we do have some antiviral and antibacterial type antibiotics that can affect pneumococcus and other causes of pneumonia. But we're seeing in the 30s and higher percent of death rate, medical death rate from influenza, from pneumonia. was under 10%. So here's what we're trying to cover. The spinal manipulation, chiropractic adjustments, osteopathic manipulation from old school 100-year-old osteopaths was more effective in treating Spanish flu and epidemic pneumonia than was medical treatment, by at least 40 times as effective. Also, the duration of those acute diseases was shortened in almost every case. So kind of here's the conclusion. The parallels between early osteopathy and chiropractic in terms of philosophy, assessment, management, and skepticism in turning healthcare over to pharmacology are noteworthy. Remember, in the 1800s, they didn't have all these drugs. It wasn't until the 1920s, really, that when Rockefeller found out you could get more money by using the sludge in the bottom of a barrel of oil to turn into pharmacopoeia than you could in selling the oil for gasoline or to heating oil. That's when the drug industry really started to take off. So the outcomes presented in the study that I just showed you are not only credible, but they're exceptional. So we want you to have an exceptional life. And we're not saying that you should go out and test positive for COVID and then come in and get adjusted. How about just come in and get adjusted on a regular basis? Doesn't mean every 2 years when your sciatica flares up or when you get that pounding headache. How about coming in on a regular basis to make sure your immune system and musculoskeletal system and nervous system, most importantly, are working at their highest possible level? So until next time, to your health, have a great day. Stay safe.